Hello there, and welcome to Simple Sleepy Science. Have you ever noticed how the world seems to exhale when rain begins? How every muscle in your body softens at the first sound of drops against glass? There's a reason rain has been humanity's oldest lullaby, a sound so powerful it can quiet a racing mind in seconds. Tonight, we're going to discover why this simple act of water falling from the sky holds such mysterious power over human consciousness. If you love stories that help you unwind and discover amazing facts about our world, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss more relaxing content tomorrow. And leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is there. We love hearing from our global community. The first raindrop hits your window, then another, then 1,000 more. Within moments, something shifts inside you. Your breathing slows, your shoulders drop, the constant chatter in your mind begins to fade. This isn't coincidence. This isn't just preference. This is biology, physics, and millions of years of evolution working together to create the most effective natural sedative on Earth. Rain doesn't just sound peaceful, it actually changes what's happening in your brain and body in ways that science is only now beginning to fully understand. Every culture on the planet has recognized rain's calming power. From ancient Japanese poetry celebrating gentle spring showers to African tribes using rainfall rhythms in meditation, humans have always known that rain does something special to our state of mind. But knowing something works and understanding why are two very different things. The mechanics behind rain's soothing effect involve acoustic physics, atmospheric chemistry, evolutionary psychology, and even the invisible particles floating through the air around you. When you hear rain, you're not just processing sound. Your brain is responding to a complex signal that it has been programmed to recognize for hundreds of thousands of years. Before humans built shelters, before we controlled fire consistently, before we developed language as we know it, rain was already teaching our ancestors when to rest. It signaled safety. It meant predators were less active. It indicated that the day's work was done and survival could pause, just for a moment, while water fell from above. The sound enters your ears and travels to your auditory cortex, but it doesn't stop there. Rain triggers responses in your amygdala, the part of your brain that processes emotion and threat detection. It affects your hippocampus, where memories form and stress responses live. It even influences your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for worry, planning, and that endless mental to-do list that keeps you awake at night. One sound reaching into multiple brain regions simultaneously, telling each one the same message. You are safe, you can rest, the world will continue without your vigilance for these next few hours. This is why rain works when nothing else does. This is why people play recordings of rainfall when the sky is clear. This is why the sound of water falling has become synonymous with peace itself. And this is just the beginning of understanding what rain really does to the human mind and body. The secret lies in the frequencies. Every sound you hear is a wave moving through air, vibrating at a specific speed. A low rumble vibrates slowly. A high whistle vibrates fast. Most sounds contain just a few frequencies mixed together. Your voice, music, car engines, They all have gaps in their frequency spectrum. But rain is different. Rain contains everything at once. When a raindrop hits a surface, it creates thousands of tiny vibrations simultaneously. The initial impact produces low frequencies. The splash makes middle tones. The ripples and breakup create high frequencies. Multiply this by thousands of drops per second, all hitting at slightly different moments, all breaking apart in unique ways, and you get something remarkable. You get every frequency the human ear can detect, all playing at equal volume, all at the same time. Scientists call this white noise, and it's incredibly rare in nature. True white noise contains all frequencies in the spectrum with equal intensity. It's the audio equivalent of white light, which contains all colors mixed perfectly together. Most natural sounds are weighted toward certain frequencies. Wind emphasizes lower tones. Birds create high pitches. Water flowing in a stream has strong middle frequencies. Rain alone delivers the full spectrum with almost perfect balance. This matters because your brain processes different frequencies through different neural pathways. Low sounds trigger your sense of physical presence and safety. Middle frequencies carry information and meaning. High frequencies alert you to potential danger. When all frequencies arrive simultaneously at equal strength, your brain receives contradictory instructions. It hears signals of safety and alertness, calm and attention, all mixed together. The result is a kind of neural white balance. Nothing dominates. Nothing demands focus. Your auditory processing simply settles. White noise also creates something called masking. When all frequencies are present, they cover up other sounds that might otherwise wake you or keep you alert. The hum of traffic outside your window operates at specific frequencies. Your brain can normally pick it out, track it, analyze it. But when rain fills every frequency, that traffic sound gets buried. Your neighbor's television, the refrigerator motor, the creaking floorboard, all of them disappear into the acoustic blanket rain provides. Your brain literally cannot distinguish them anymore. They still exist, but rain makes them invisible to your perception. The volume matters too. Rain typically falls at around 50 to 60 decibels, roughly the level of normal conversation. This is loud enough to mask most household sounds, but quiet enough to avoid stimulation. It sits in what acousticians call the comfort zone, where sound is present but not intrusive. Too quiet, and every little noise disturbs you. Too loud, and the sound itself becomes the disturbance. Rain finds the sweet spot naturally, without any adjustment needed. This is why artificial white noise machines exist, why millions of people play rain recordings when the sky is clear. We're trying to recreate what rain does effortlessly. We're attempting to build the acoustic environment that falling water provides for free. But here's something most people don't realize. Even the best recordings can't quite match actual rain. And the reason reveals even more about why rain soothes us so completely. The difference is randomness. Mechanical white noise machines play the same loop over and over. Some loops last 30 seconds, others maybe 5 minutes, but they always repeat. Your brain, even while you sleep, is incredibly good at detecting patterns. It notices when sounds cycle back to the beginning. It recognizes rhythms, even subtle ones. And once your brain locks onto a pattern, it starts tracking it, anticipating it, staying partially alert to follow it. This keeps you from reaching the deepest levels of sleep. Rain never repeats. Each drop falls from a different height, carries a different amount of water, hits a different spot, breaks apart in a unique way. The timing between impacts is completely irregular. One drop might fall, then 3 more in quick succession, then a gap, then 2 more, then another gap of different length. There's no pattern to predict, no rhythm to follow, no loop to detect. Your brain searches for structure and finds none. Eventually, it stops searching. This irregular timing serves a specific purpose in sleep promotion. When sounds arrive at predictable intervals, your brain maintains what's called anticipatory attention. It waits for the next beat, the next note, the next impact. This waiting requires a baseline level of alertness. You can't fully let go because part of your neural system is essentially counting time. Rain eliminates this need entirely. You cannot anticipate the next drop because there's no pattern governing when it will fall. Your brain has nothing to anticipate, nothing to count, nothing to track. Scientists have tested this extensively. People exposed to perfectly regular white noise, even at ideal volumes and frequencies, take longer to fall asleep than people listening to irregular white noise. The difference is measurable in brainwave patterns. Regular sounds maintain higher beta wave activity, indicating ongoing mental processing. Irregular sounds allow faster transition into alpha and theta waves, the brain states associated with deep relaxation and sleep onset. Rain's natural randomness pushes your brain toward these slower, deeper waves more effectively than any artificial sound can manage. The variation exists at multiple timescales too. Individual drops are random, but rain intensity also fluctuates. A steady rain might get slightly heavier for a few moments, then lighter, then steady again. These gentle waves of intensity happen slowly enough that they don't startle, but frequently enough that true patterns never form. It's variation within stability. The rain continues, but never quite the same way twice. This keeps the sound from becoming monotonous, while simultaneously preventing it from becoming predictable. Thunder adds another layer when storms arrive. The irregular booms and rumbles break up any possibility of rhythm, while actually deepening the sense of safety for most people. You're inside, protected, while nature displays its power outside. Each thunderclap reinforces your shelter, reminds you that you're dry and warm while the storm rages beyond your walls. The contrast heightens comfort rather than diminishing it. This mathematical chaos, this beautiful disorder of falling water, is precisely why rain recordings can help but never fully replace the real thing. Even the most sophisticated algorithms struggle to create truly random patterns. They produce pseudo-randomness, patterns so complex they seem random, but eventually reveal their underlying structure. Your sleeping brain can tell the difference. It recognizes true chaos from manufactured approximations, and it relaxes more completely when the chaos is genuine. But rain doesn't just work through sound. The moment drops hit dry earth, a smell rises that humans have recognized for millions of years. That distinctive scent has a name, Petrichor, and it does something remarkable to your nervous system that has nothing to do with your ears. The smell comes from a compound called geosmin, produced by soil bacteria. These microorganisms release geosmin as they die, and rain unlocks it from the earth. When water hits the ground, it creates tiny air bubbles that burst and carry geosmin molecules into the air you breathe. Your nose can detect geosmin at concentrations as low as 5 parts per trillion. That's like finding a single grain of sand in an Olympic swimming pool. Your olfactory system is that sensitive to this one specific chemical. There's a reason for this extreme sensitivity. For your ancient ancestors, the smell of rain meant survival. In arid regions, water meant life. Being able to detect rain from miles away, just by scent, gave early humans a crucial advantage. They could find water sources, predict weather changes, locate areas where plants would soon grow and animals would gather. The smell of petrichor became hardwired into the human brain as a signal of abundance, safety, and relief. This evolutionary programming still affects you today. When you smell petrichor, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals associated with reward and contentment. It's not a learned response. You didn't have to be taught that rain smells good. Babies show positive reactions to petrichor without any prior experience. The connection exists at a biological level, written into your DNA through countless generations who survived partly because they could smell water coming. The scent also triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body responsible for rest and digestion. Heart rate slows slightly, blood pressure decreases, muscle tension reduces. Your body interprets the smell of rain as a signal that immediate survival pressure has lifted. Food will be available. Danger is reduced. This is time to recover, to rest, to let your guard down. Modern humans sitting in climate-controlled homes still experience these physiological shifts when petrichor reaches their nostrils. Interestingly, the smell is strongest at the beginning of rain, when dry soil first gets wet. As rain continues, geosmin concentrations in the air decrease. But by then, the smell has already done its work. It has already signaled your nervous system that conditions are favorable for rest. The initial burst is enough to begin the relaxation cascade that sound then maintains and deepens. Different soils produce different intensities of petrichor. Clay-rich earth generates more of the scent than sandy soil. Forests create complex petrichor mixtures because different bacteria in leaf litter and topsoil release various compounds. But all versions carry that same fundamental message to your brain. Water has arrived, pressure has eased, you can rest now. This is why opening a window. During rain, even if you have recordings playing, creates a more powerful sleep effect. The sound matters, but the scent completes the experience. Your brain receives confirmation through multiple senses that rain is real, that the ancient signal of safety is genuine, that every biological system can finally stand down and allow you to sleep deeply. While you're smelling petrichor and hearing white noise, something invisible is happening all around you. The air pressure is dropping. Rain doesn't just accompany low pressure systems. It creates localized pressure changes that affect your body in ways you can't consciously perceive, but definitely feel. Air pressure is simply the weight of atmosphere pressing down on you. High pressure means more atmospheric weight. Low pressure means less. When rain clouds form and precipitation begins, the air pressure in that area decreases measurably. Your body contains air-filled spaces in your sinuses, ears, and lungs. These spaces respond to pressure changes by expanding slightly when pressure drops. This expansion triggers sensory receptors throughout your respiratory system and skull. The effects reach your bloodstream too. Lower air pressure means oxygen molecules are slightly less concentrated in each breath you take. Your body compensates by producing more red blood cells over time, but in the short term, you experience mild oxygen reduction. This isn't dangerous. It's subtle, like being at a slightly higher altitude, but it does create a gentle sedative effect. Your metabolism slows fractionally. Your heart doesn't have to work quite as hard. Energy production in your cells decreases by small but measurable amounts. This metabolic slowdown triggers increased melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Your brain normally releases it when darkness falls, signaling that sleep time approaches. But reduced air pressure acts as a secondary trigger. Studies show that people living at higher altitudes, where air pressure is naturally lower, have elevated baseline melatonin levels. The same mechanism activates during rain at any altitude. The pressure drop tells your pineal gland to increase melatonin output, making you feel drowsy, even during daytime rain. Animals demonstrate this effect clearly. Dogs and cats sleep more during rainy weather. Birds become less active. Even insects reduce their movement. This isn't learned behavior or preference. It's a physiological response to atmospheric conditions. The pressure change affects all creatures with respiratory systems. Humans simply added cultural meanings and preferences on top of the biological foundation. The pressure changes also affect your joints slightly. The tissues surrounding your joints contain nerve endings sensitive to pressure. When atmospheric pressure drops, these tissues expand minutely, altering the signals they send to your brain. For people with arthritis, this creates pain. For healthy individuals, it creates a subtle sense of heaviness, a feeling that your body weighs slightly more, that movement requires fractionally more effort. This sensation reinforces the desire to stay still, to rest, to sleep. Your inner ear, which controls balance, also responds to pressure shifts. The fluid in your semicircular canals adjusts to new pressure conditions. During this adjustment, your sense of spatial orientation becomes slightly less sharp. You feel marginally less coordinated, less inclined toward activity, more drawn toward stillness. Your body is essentially telling you that conditions favor rest over action. All of these changes happen automatically. You don't decide to feel drowsy when pressure drops. Your biology decides for you. Rain creates an atmospheric environment that your body interprets as optimal for sleep, and it responds by preparing every system for rest. The sound and smell capture your attention, but the pressure change is what truly flips the switch from wakefulness to sleepiness. Rain cools everything it touches. This isn't just pleasant, it's essential for deep sleep. Your body needs to drop its core temperature by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit to fall asleep and stay asleep. This temperature drop is non-negotiable. Without it, you remain in lighter sleep stages, no matter how tired you feel. The cooling happens through multiple mechanisms. First, rainwater itself is cooler than summer air. When billions of drops fall through the atmosphere, they pull heat from their surroundings. The air temperature drops measurably, sometimes by 10 or 15 degrees during heavy rain. Your bedroom, your sheets, the walls around you, all release their stored heat into the cooler air. Within minutes, your sleeping environment reaches temperatures that promote rest. Evaporation adds another cooling layer. Even after rain stops, water on surfaces continues evaporating. Evaporation requires energy, and that energy comes from heat in the surrounding materials. Roads, roofs, trees, and soil all cool as water evaporates from their surfaces. This cooling radiates outward, lowering ambient temperature for hours after the last drop falls. Night rain creates especially good sleeping conditions because the cooling effect extends through the entire sleep period. Your body temperature follows a natural cycle. It peaks in late afternoon and reaches its lowest point around 4 in the morning. This cycle supports the ancient human pattern of sleeping when it's dark and cool. But modern climate control disrupts this pattern. Air conditioning and heating keep temperatures constant, removing the natural temperature. Drop your body expects at night. Rain restores this ancient pattern. It creates genuine environmental cooling that your body recognizes as the proper signal for deep sleep. The temperature drop affects specific sleep stages differently. Light sleep can occur at various temperatures, but slow-wave sleep, the deepest and most restorative stage, requires cooler conditions. Your brain literally cannot enter the deepest sleep states if your body temperature remains elevated. Research shows that people sleeping in rooms cooled to 60-67 degrees Fahrenheit spend more time in slow-wave sleep than people in warmer rooms. Rain naturally brings outdoor temperatures into this range, and even indoor temperatures shift cooler when rain arrives. Humidity changes matter too. Rain increases relative humidity, and this affects how your body sheds heat. In dry air, sweat evaporates quickly, cooling you efficiently. In humid air, evaporation slows, but heat loss through convection and conduction increases. Rain creates humidity levels around 60 to 70%, which sleep researchers consider ideal. Too dry and your airways become irritated. Too humid and you feel uncomfortably warm. Rain finds the middle ground. Cold rain on a hot summer night produces the most dramatic sleep improvement. The temperature differential can be 30 degrees or more. Your overheated body finally gets relief. Your core temperature drops rapidly towards sleep-friendly levels. The contrast between the heat you felt hours earlier and the coolness you feel now makes the cooling even more noticeable and satisfying. Your body responds with gratitude, releasing tension and embracing rest. This cooling isn't just physical comfort, it's biological necessity. Sleep scientists have found that even slight temperature reductions improve sleep quality measurably. Rain delivers this cooling naturally, without fans or air conditioners, without artificial intervention. It simply makes the world cooler, and your body recognizes this coolness as the signal it has waited for all day. Something else is happening in the air around you during rain. Invisible particles called negative ions are multiplying by the millions. These aren't science fiction. They're real molecules with an extra electron, and they change your brain chemistry in ways that promote both calm and clarity. Negative ions form when water molecules break apart. The collision of raindrops with surfaces, the movement of water through air, the spray created by impacts, all of these actions split water molecules and create ions. The same process happens at waterfalls, ocean beaches, and anywhere water moves vigorously. But rain creates negative ions everywhere simultaneously, filling the air you breathe with concentrations far higher than normal conditions provide. Your lungs absorb these ions when you breathe. They enter your bloodstream through the thin membranes in your alveoli, the tiny air sacs where oxygen exchange happens. Once in your blood, negative ions travel to your brain and affect neurotransmitter production. Specifically, they increase serotonin levels. Serotonin is the chemical that stabilizes mood, creates feelings of well-being, and helps regulate sleep patterns. More serotonin means better mood and easier sleep. Studies measuring negative ion concentrations show dramatic differences between clear days and rainy days. On a typical clear day, you might encounter 500 negative ions per cubic centimeter of air. During rain, that number jumps to 2,000 or more. Near waterfalls, it can reach 10,000. Your brain responds to these increased concentrations within minutes. People report feeling more alert, yet simultaneously more relaxed, a combination that seems contradictory, but describes perfectly the mental state rain creates. This explains why rain feels refreshing, even though it's associated with rest. The negative ions provide mental clarity, while other rain effects promote physical relaxation. You can think more clearly while feeling less stressed. Your mind stays sharp while your body unwinds. This combination is rare and valuable. Most things that relax you also dull your thinking. Negative ions separate these effects, allowing mental freshness alongside physical calm. The ions also affect your respiratory system directly. They attach to dust, pollen, and other particles in the air, making these particles heavier so they fall to the ground instead of floating into your lungs. Rain literally cleans the air you breathe. People with allergies and asthma often notice easier breathing during and after rain. The air becomes purer, less irritating, more comfortable to inhale deeply. This improved air quality supports better sleep by reducing nighttime breathing difficulties. Positive ions, which dominate in dry, polluted, or electronically saturated environments, create the opposite effects. They increase anxiety, reduce serotonin, and create feelings of tension. Modern indoor environments, full of electronic devices and climate control systems, tend toward positive ion dominance. Rain reverses this balance. It floods the environment with negative ions that counteract the stress-inducing effects of positive ions accumulated throughout your day. The effect persists after rain stops. Negative ions remain elevated for hours as water continues evaporating from wet surfaces. A single rain shower can improve air quality and mood for an entire evening. Your body benefits from this extended period of ion-rich air, gradually releasing accumulated stress and tension as the ions work through your system. By the time you're ready to sleep, your neurochemistry has shifted decisively toward rest. Watch rain fall for a few minutes and something strange happens to your thoughts. They slow down, they simplify, The mental noise that normally fills your awareness begins to fade. This isn't coincidence. Rain's visual patterns create a mild hypnotic state that shares characteristics with meditation. The effect starts with repetition. Each raindrop follows a similar path downward, not identical, but similar enough that your visual system recognizes the pattern. Thousands of these similar movements happen simultaneously across your field of view. Your eyes try to track individual drops, but quickly give up. There are too many, moving too fast, appearing and disappearing too rapidly. Your visual cortex shifts into a different processing mode. Instead of focusing on individual elements, your brain starts perceiving the whole. It stops analyzing and starts observing. This shift mimics what happens during meditation or when watching flames in a fire. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for active thinking and problem solving, reduces its activity. Your default mode network, associated with self-reflection and mental wandering, also quiets. You enter a state between alertness and rest, present but not engaged. Rain on windows creates particularly strong effects. The drops hit glass, spread, merge with other drops, and slide downward in unpredictable paths. Each drop's journey is unique, yet all journeys follow similar physics. You can watch for hours without seeing the same pattern twice. This combination of familiarity and novelty holds attention without requiring concentration. Your mind can rest while your eyes remain open. The movement happens at an ideal speed for inducing calm. Too fast, and it becomes stimulating, even stressful. Too slow, and it fails to hold attention. Rain falls at walking pace, roughly 3 to 6 miles per hour when it reaches the ground. This speed matches the tempo of peaceful human activity. Your brain interprets it as safe, natural movement that requires no response. Watching rain also provides an anchor point for wandering thoughts. When your mind starts racing with worries or plans, the visual pattern of falling water gives you something concrete to return to. You don't have to fight your thoughts or force them away. You simply redirect your gaze to the rain, and the visual input gently pulls your attention back to the present moment. This is exactly how meditation objects like candle flames or mandalas function. The dimmer lighting during rain enhances this effect. Clouds filter sunlight, reducing brightness and contrast in your environment. Your pupils dilate slightly to gather more light. This dilation triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, the same system activated by darkness before sleep. Your body interprets the lower light as a signal that rest is appropriate, even during daytime. Colors shift during rain too. The world appears in muted tones, with blues and greys dominating. Bright colors that normally compete for attention become subdued. This reduction in visual stimulation decreases the processing load on your visual cortex. Your brain expends less energy interpreting what you see. The saved energy becomes available for rest and recovery. Rain creates natural visual white noise, parallel to its acoustic properties. Just as the sound fills all frequencies, the visual pattern fills all space without creating specific focal points. Your attention distributes evenly rather than jumping between objects. This diffused attention is deeply restful, allowing your mind to settle without losing consciousness entirely. Your response to rain isn't just learned behavior, it's encoded in your DNA. For hundreds of thousands of years, rain meant specific things to human survival, and those associations shaped how your brain is wired today. When you hear rain and feel calm, you're experiencing evolutionary programming that stretches back to the beginning of human existence. Early humans had no weather forecasts, no waterproof shelters, no reliable food storage. Rain changed everything about daily survival. When rain fell, hunting became difficult. Tracking animals through wet ground was harder. Lighting fires became nearly impossible. Movement across terrain slowed. The practical response was simple: stop and wait. Find shelter and rest until conditions improved. This forced rest became biologically advantageous. Humans who conserved energy during rain survived better than those who continued expending effort in poor conditions. Over countless generations, the ones who felt tired when rain started, who naturally sought shelter and rest, passed their genes forward more successfully. Your tendency to feel sleepy when rain falls is inherited from ancestors who survived partly because they had that tendency. Rain also signaled safety from specific threats. Many predators hunt less actively during rain. Their sense of smell becomes less effective. Their prey's scent trails wash away. Visibility decreases. Success rates drop. Early humans learned that rainy periods offered relative safety from big cats, wolves, and other dangers that dominated the landscape. The sound of rain became associated with reduced threat, and that association still affects your amygdala, the brain region processing fear and safety. Water availability, crucial for survival, connected rain to feelings of abundance and relief. In many regions where early humans lived, water scarcity was a constant concern. Rain meant streams would flow, plants would grow, animals would gather at water sources. The anxiety of scarcity lifted temporarily. This relief from survival pressure created powerful positive associations with rain that persist in modern humans who never experience true water scarcity. The connection goes deeper than individual experience. Some researchers believe rain associations may be epigenetic, meaning environmental pressures on your ancestors created genetic markers that affect you directly. Your grandmother's experiences during droughts or floods might have altered gene expression patterns that you inherited. The relationship between rain and rest could be literally written into your chromosomes. Children show these responses without teaching. Infants calm when they hear rain sounds. Toddlers naturally seek quiet activities during rainy weather. No one instructs them that rain means rest. They know instinctively, the way they know to fear heights or prefer sweet foods. The knowledge comes pre-installed, part of the basic human operating system. Different cultures across the planet, separated by oceans and thousands of years, developed similar rain associations. Rain gods in nearly every ancient religion were connected to rest, fertility, and abundance. Rain rituals focused on gratitude and celebration, not fear or anxiety. The consistency across isolated cultures suggests these associations arise from shared biology rather than cultural transmission. Modern life removed most survival pressures that shaped your ancestors. You don't hunt for food or fear predators or worry about fire starting, but your brain hasn't updated its programming. When rain falls, ancient circuits activate. Your body responds as if survival depends on resting now, saving energy for when conditions improve. The fact that conditions don't actually require this response anymore doesn't matter. The biology remains, offering you the gift of rest, whether you consciously understand its origins or not. Rain falls the same way everywhere. A drop falling in Tokyo sounds nearly identical to a drop falling in Toronto, Lagos, or Sydney. The physics don't change based on location, culture, or language. This makes rain one of the few truly universal human experiences, a sound that connects every person who has ever lived. The reason is simple. Water behaves according to fixed physical laws. Gravity pulls drops downward at the same acceleration everywhere on Earth. Surface tension shapes drops into similar sizes regardless of where clouds form. The speed of sound in air remains constant across latitudes. When rain hits surfaces, the acoustic frequencies produced depend only on the properties of water and the materials it strikes, not on geography or culture. This universality matters for sleep. Unlike music, which varies by culture or language, which divides humanity into thousands of groups, rain speaks a single language everyone understands. A recording of rain from Norway will soothe someone in Brazil just as effectively as local rain. The sound carries no cultural baggage, no learned associations that vary by background. It's pure physics producing pure response. Think about how rare this is. Nearly everything that affects human emotion is culturally mediated. Colors have different meanings in different societies. Facial expressions are interpreted through cultural lenses. Even basic things like personal space or eye contact vary dramatically across the world. But rain transcends all of this. It produces the same neurological responses in every human nervous system because those responses predate cultural development. Your ancestors heard rain before they developed language, before they formed distinct cultures, before they separated into different populations across the continents. The sound of rain falling is older than human diversity itself. It connects you not just to people living today, but to every human who has ever existed. The same sound that soothes you tonight soothed people 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago. This creates a profound sense of connection when you stop to consider it. Right now, somewhere on Earth, rain is falling. Someone is listening to it, feeling what you feel, experiencing the same calm. This person might speak a language you don't understand, follow customs you've never heard of, live a life completely different from yours. But in this moment, you share something fundamental. The sound entering your ears is entering theirs. The response happening in your brain is happening in theirs. Rain doesn't respect borders or acknowledge differences. It falls on the rich and poor equally. It sounds the same in palaces and shacks. It calms billionaires and farmers with identical effectiveness. This equality is built into the physics of falling water. No one can purchase better rain. No one can claim ownership of the sound. It belongs to everyone and no one simultaneously. Scientists studying sleep across cultures have found that rain's effectiveness as a sleep aid shows no variation based on where people live or how they were raised. The response is hardwired, biological, universal. This makes rain perhaps the most democratic phenomenon in human experience. It offers the same gift to everyone without exception. When you listen to rain tonight, you're participating in a ritual as old as humanity itself. You're joining billions of people across space and time in a shared moment of peace. The drops falling now connect you to every human who has ever sought shelter. Close their eyes and let the sound of water wash away the day's concerns. While all rain shares basic physics, not all rain sounds identical. The intensity and pattern of rainfall create different acoustic environments, and each type promotes sleep in slightly different ways. Understanding these variations helps explain why some rainy nights feel more restful than others. Light drizzle produces the softest rain sound. Individual drops are tiny, falling slowly, hitting surfaces with minimal force. The sound frequency skews toward the higher end of the spectrum, creating a gentle hiss rather than distinct impacts. Drizzle works well for people who find any loud sounds disruptive. It provides just enough acoustic coverage to mask background noise without creating its own presence. You can almost forget it's there, which allows some people to sleep more deeply. Steady, moderate rain creates what most people consider the ideal sleep sound. Drops are larger, falling faster, producing clear impacts that register across a wider frequency range. The volume sits comfortably in the middle zone, loud enough to provide solid masking, but quiet enough to avoid stimulation. This is the rain type most often recorded and sold as sleep aids. It hits the sweet spot between too subtle and too intense. Heavy rain increases volume and intensity significantly. The sound becomes almost overwhelming, a roar rather than a patter. Surprisingly, many people sleep exceptionally well during heavy rain. The increased volume provides complete acoustic isolation from other sounds. Your brain cannot process any other audio input because rain dominates entirely. This total sensory occupation can be deeply restful for people whose minds normally race with thoughts. The rain simply drowns out internal noise, along with external sound. Thunderstorms add irregular booms to steady rain patterns. Each thunder crack provides a momentary spike in volume, then fades back to rain baseline. For some people, thunder disrupts sleep. The sudden loud noise triggers alertness. But for others, thunder actually deepens the sense of safety and rest. The contrast between powerful thunder and your warm, dry shelter emphasizes protection. Each boom reminds you that you're safe inside, while nature displays its power outside. Rain intensity often varies within a single storm. It might start light, build to moderate, surge to heavy, then taper back to drizzle before stopping. These natural variations prevent the sound from becoming monotonous. Just as your brain might start adapting to one intensity level, the rain shifts, recapturing attention without causing full alertness. This dynamic quality keeps rain interesting enough to prevent boredom, but predictable enough to avoid stress. The gaps between rain events matter too. Sometimes rain falls continuously for hours. Other times it arrives in waves, with silent periods between. The intermittent pattern creates anticipation that can either help or hinder sleep. Some people prefer continuous rain because gaps might wake them. Others appreciate the variety, finding that resumed rain after silence feels especially soothing. Wind interacting with rain adds another layer of complexity. Wind-driven rain hits surfaces at angles rather than straight down, creating different impact sounds. It also produces additional audio from wind itself, mixing air movement sounds with water impacts. This combination creates an even richer acoustic environment, though some find it too busy for optimal sleep. Personal preference plays a role in which rain type works best for you. But regardless of your preference, every type shares the fundamental properties that make rain effective for sleep. The variations simply adjust the intensity of effects that remain present across all rainfall patterns. The surface rain hits matters as much as the rain itself. Each material produces distinct sounds when struck by water, and these acoustic differences affect how well you sleep. Understanding why certain surfaces create more soothing sounds reveals another layer of rain's complexity. Rain on leaves creates one of nature's most peaceful sounds. Each leaf acts as a tiny drum, vibrating when drops hit. The membrane is thin and organic, producing soft, dampened tones without harsh edges. Thousands of leaves responding to thousands of drops creates a sound texture unlike anything else. The frequencies stay in the mid to low range, avoiding the higher pitches that can feel sharp or irritating. This is why rain in forests is particularly soothing. The canopy provides millions of natural sound dampeners. Metal roofs produce louder, brighter sounds. The rigid surface doesn't absorb impact energy. Instead, it rings slightly with each hit, creating overtones that add complexity to the basic impact sound. Some people find this energizing rather than calming, especially with light rain, where individual impacts are distinct. But during heavy rain, when impacts blend together, metal roofs create an impressive roar that many find deeply satisfying. The sheer volume drowns out everything else. Glass produces clean, sharp sounds. Windows and smooth surfaces cause drops to spread on impact, creating a brief slapping sound, followed by the visual trail of water sliding down. The acoustic component is minimal compared to other surfaces, but the visual element compensates. Rain on windows provides both sound and something to watch, engaging multiple senses simultaneously. Pavement and concrete generate dull thuds. These dense materials absorb most impact energy rather than reflecting it as sound. The acoustic output is muted, heavy, without much tonal variation. Urban rain sounds different from rural rain, partly because cities contain so much concrete. The sound becomes deeper, more bass-heavy, less dynamic. Some find this grounding and substantial. Others miss the brighter tones natural surfaces provide. Water hitting water creates the most complex sounds. When rain falls on puddles, ponds, or any standing water, each drop generates multiple acoustic components. The initial impact, the splash, the ripples spreading outward, the bubbles forming and popping, all contribute distinct frequencies. This layered sound contains more information than rain on solid surfaces. Your brain processes this richness differently, finding new details each time you listen. Natural materials generally produce more sleep-friendly sounds than synthetic ones. Wood, earth, stone, and vegetation have irregular surfaces that break up sound waves in complex ways. Plastics, metals, and smooth modern materials tend towards simpler, more repetitive acoustic patterns. This isn't absolute, but the trend is noticeable. Rain sounds more varied and organic when falling on natural materials. The distance between you and the surface matters too. Rain on your own roof sounds different from rain on trees 50 feet away. Close surfaces provide louder, more immediate sound. Distant surfaces create softer, more diffuse sound that blends with rain hitting everything in between. The best sleep environments usually include a mix of distances, creating layers of sound at different volumes. Most real rain situations involve multiple surfaces simultaneously. Rain hits roofs, trees, ground, and standing water all at once. This combination creates the rich, varied soundscape that makes natural rain more effective than recordings. No single surface dominates. Instead, you hear a blend that contains something for every auditory preference. A complete acoustic environment that satisfies multiple processing pathways in your brain at once. Rain creates a paradox. It fills the air with sound, while simultaneously making everything quieter. This contradiction isn't an illusion. It's a real acoustic phenomenon that explains why rain feels peaceful rather than noisy, despite the constant audio input. The key is masking. Rain doesn't make other sounds disappear. It simply overwhelms them, rendering them undetectable to your ears. Traffic noise still exists during rain, but you can't hear it anymore. Your neighbor's music still plays, but rain drowns it out. The refrigerator still hums, but that hum gets lost in the white noise blanket rain provides. The world becomes effectively silent, even though sound levels actually increase. This selective silencing is crucial for sleep. Most people don't sleep in true silence. Even in quiet neighborhoods, ambient noise persists. Air moving through vents, distant vehicles, appliances cycling on and off. These sounds continue throughout the night. Your brain normally monitors these sounds, tracking changes that might indicate threats or important events. This monitoring prevents deep sleep by maintaining baseline alertness. Rain releases your brain from monitoring duty. When every frequency is filled with rain sound, there's nothing left to monitor. Changes in traffic patterns, unusual noises from neighbors, small sounds that normally capture attention, all become invisible beneath the rain layer. Your auditory system can finally rest because there's genuinely nothing to track anymore. The monitoring circuits shut down, allowing deeper sleep stages. The silence rain creates is also psychological. Urban environments produce constant low-level stress through persistent noise. Your conscious mind might tune it out, but your nervous system remains activated. Heart rate stays slightly elevated. Stress hormones maintain higher baseline levels. Sleep quality suffers even when you're not consciously aware of the noise causing problems. Rain removes this chronic low-level stressor. The resulting relief feels like silence, even though sound continues. Rain also creates acoustic privacy. In apartments or houses with thin walls, you can often hear neighbors' activities. This lack of privacy can make relaxation difficult. You remain aware that others might hear you, which maintains a degree of self-consciousness. Rain solves this by masking sounds in both directions. You can't hear your neighbors, and they can't hear you. the acoustic isolation creates a bubble of privacy that allows complete relaxation. The psychological permission rain provides enhances this silence effect. When rain falls, you feel justified in doing nothing. The weather validates rest in ways that clear skies don't. This permission removes internal noise along with external sound. The mental chatter about productivity, the anxiety about wasted time, the guilt about relaxing, all of these quiet down when rain gives you an excuse to stop. The silence becomes internal as well as external. Nature sounds in general create this paradox of noisy silence. Ocean waves, wind through trees, flowing streams, all fill the acoustic space while producing feelings of quiet. But rain does it most effectively because rain is loudest. It provides the most complete masking, the most thorough coverage of the frequency spectrum. Other nature sounds leave gaps that urban noise can penetrate. Rain seals every gap. This is why rain works in cities where other nature sounds fail. Forest sounds played in an apartment can't overcome traffic noise. Ocean recordings can't mask neighbors. But rain recordings can do both, because rain naturally operates at the volume and frequency range needed to dominate all competing sounds. It creates genuine acoustic silence through overwhelming presence. Rain doesn't just change sound, it changes light. The moment clouds arrive, the brightness level drops significantly. This dimming triggers specific biological responses that prepare your body for sleep, even during daytime hours. Clouds act as massive light filters. The water droplets suspended in clouds scatter and absorb sunlight before it reaches the ground. A heavy overcast can reduce ground-level light intensity by 70 to 90% compared to clear conditions. Your environment suddenly receives only a fraction of the light energy it normally gets. This dramatic reduction affects your eyes and brain immediately. Your pupils dilate in lower light, opening wider to gather more photons. This pupil dilation is controlled by your autonomic nervous system, the same system that regulates heart rate, digestion, and sleep-wake cycles. When your pupils dilate, it signals other parts of your autonomic system that darkness is approaching. This triggers a cascade of preparatory responses. Heart rate slows slightly, metabolism decreases. Your body begins producing melatonin, the sleep hormone normally reserved for evening hours. The color temperature of light changes during rain too. Clear day sunlight contains high levels of blue light, which strongly suppresses melatonin and promotes alertness. Cloudy conditions filter out much of this blue light, shifting the spectrum toward warmer, redder tones. Your circadian system interprets this shift as the approach of evening. Even at noon, rainy conditions create a light environment more similar to dusk than midday. Your body responds accordingly, feeling drowsy despite the actual time. This explains why overcast days make people feel tired, regardless of how much sleep they got the night before. The light levels tell your biology that rest time is approaching. Your conscious awareness of the actual time doesn't override this deep biological programming. Your body trusts light levels more than clocks. The reduced light also decreases visual stimulation. On bright days, everything in your environment competes for attention. Colors appear vivid. Contrasts are sharp. Your visual system works hard to process all this information. Dim, rainy conditions mute these visual demands. Colors become subdued. Contrasts soften. Your visual cortex can operate at reduced capacity, saving energy that becomes available for other processes, including the preparation for sleep. Shadows disappear during rain. Cloudy conditions create what photographers call flat lighting, where light comes equally from all directions, rather than from a single source. This eliminates the high contrast shadows that normally define objects and spaces. Your brain uses shadows to construct three-dimensional understanding of your environment. Without shadows, visual processing becomes simpler, less demanding. This reduction in cognitive load contributes to the overall feeling of relaxation rain creates. Glare vanishes too. On sunny days, reflections from windows, water, and shiny surfaces create bright spots that force your eyes to constantly adjust. Rain eliminates these glare sources. Everything becomes evenly lit at a comfortable level. Your eyes can relax into a single pupil size, rather than constantly adapting to varying brightness. This steady, gentle light level is exactly what sleep experts recommend for bedroom lighting. The combination of reduced brightness, shifted color, temperature, and eliminated contrasts creates lighting conditions that actively promote rest. Your body doesn't just tolerate these conditions. It interprets them as permission to sleep, even when you're otherwise active and alert. The dimming itself becomes a lullaby for your visual system. Rain gives you something modern life rarely offers: permission to stop. In a culture obsessed with productivity, rain becomes one of the few socially acceptable reasons to do absolutely nothing. This psychological permission is just as important for sleep as any physical effect rain creates. Think about how you justify rest on clear days. You might feel guilty about napping. You might struggle to explain why you're staying in rather than going out. The weather offers no excuse. Your inactivity feels like a choice that requires justification. But when rain falls, everything changes. Suddenly, you have a reason that no one questions. Rain cancelled your plans. Rain made staying in the obvious decision. Rain gave you permission to rest. This social permission matters because humans are deeply social creatures. We worry about what others think, even when those others aren't present. Internal voices question our choices, judging rest as laziness, relaxation as wasted time. These voices quiet during rain. The external validation provided by weather silences internal criticism. You can rest without fighting yourself about whether rest is justified. The effect is strongest in cultures that emphasize constant productivity. In places where work defines worth, where busyness signals value, rain becomes a precious exemption from these pressures. It's not that you chose to be lazy, the rain chose for you. This distinction removes guilt and allows genuine rest. Your nervous system can fully stand down because you're not maintaining internal arguments about whether you should be doing something else. Rain also cancels obligations naturally. Outdoor plans become impossible or unpleasant. Social pressure to leave the house evaporates. Events get rescheduled. Expectations adjust automatically. You don't have to defend your decision to stay in, because rain made that decision universal. Everyone understands. Everyone accepts. The social contract shifts to accommodate weather, and you benefit from this shift without any effort. This creates a mental spaciousness that clear weather never provides. When the sun shines, possibilities remain open. You could go out. You could be active. You could accomplish something. These possibilities create low-level pressure, even when you don't act on them. Rain closes these possibilities. You can't go out, so you don't have to decide not to go out. The decision is made for you, and that removes a burden you might not have realized you were carrying. Children demonstrate this instinctively. They play quietly during rain without being told. They naturally shift to calm indoor activities. They seem to understand that rain changes the rules, that different behavior is appropriate. Adults carry this same instinct, but often fight it, maintaining productivity pressures even when weather suggests rest. The best sleep happens when you stop fighting and accept rain's invitation. The permission extends beyond physical rest to mental rest. Rain justifies letting your mind wander. You don't have to focus or plan or solve problems. You can simply exist, watching drops fall, listening to the sound, allowing thoughts to come and go without direction. This mental permission is rare and valuable. Most of your waking life demands directed thought. Rain offers a break from these demands. This is why rain feels like relief, even before you lie down to sleep. The permission arrives with the first drops. Your whole being relaxes, because for these hours, maybe these days, productivity pressure lifts. You're allowed to be human rather than productive. You're allowed to rest. Rain connects you to your earliest memories. Most people can recall specific rainy days from childhood with surprising clarity. The smell, the sound, the feeling of being safe inside while weather happened outside. These memories shape your adult response to rain in ways that go beyond biology. Children experience rain more intensely than adults. Everything is new. Every sensation registers fully without the dulling that comes from decades of repeated experience. When rain fell during your childhood, you noticed every detail. The way drops raced down windows, the puddles forming in the yard, the particular smell of wet earth. Your brain encoded these experiences with the heightened attention children bring to everything. Many of these rainy day memories involve comfort and safety. Being held by a parent while watching storms, sitting in a warm kitchen while rain pounded outside, playing board games by lamplight as thunder rolled. These moments became associated with security, love, and protection. Your developing brain linked rain with the feeling of being cared for, of being safe from any possible harm. The association strengthens because rain often meant unstructured time with caregivers. School might close, outdoor work stopped, adults stayed home instead of leaving. For children, this meant rare access to parents who were usually busy. Rain became a gift that brought family together in shared, peaceful time. The emotional warmth of these moments attached itself to the sensory experience of rain. Even difficult childhood memories involving rain often contain elements of shelter and protection. Being caught in a storm and rushing home. Watching lightning from a safe window. Hearing rain on the roof while tucked in bed. The contrast between the power outside and the safety inside created strong emotional impressions. These experiences taught you that walls and roofs protect, that shelter works, that humans can create safe spaces even when nature displays its force. Your adult brain retrieves these childhood associations when rain begins. You might not consciously remember specific events, but the emotional tone returns. The feeling of being small and protected. The sense that someone bigger is keeping you safe. Even living alone, even being the adult responsible for your own safety, rain triggers those early feelings of being cared for. This emotional regression is soothing in itself. The sounds and smells of rain act as powerful memory triggers because they haven't changed. Unlike most childhood experiences, which look different when you revisit them as an adult, rain remains identical. The sound hitting your roof now is the same sound that hit your childhood home. The smell of wet earth is unchanged. These sensory consistencies create direct pathways to early memories, bypassing the analytical mind and reaching emotional centers directly. For people whose childhoods were difficult, rain sometimes offers the rare peaceful moments they experienced. Even in troubled homes, rainy evenings might have brought temporary calm. The weather forced everyone inside, created a shared experience that transcended whatever conflicts existed. Rain became a neutral space, a time when normal tensions paused. This layering of memory onto physical response creates rain's full power. The biological effects would work regardless of your history, but the emotional associations multiply those effects. Rain doesn't just affect your body, it reaches into your past, retrieves feelings of safety and comfort, and brings them into your present moment. You're not just hearing water fall, you're experiencing every rainy day you've ever known, compressed into this single moment of peace. Raindrops are more consistent than you might expect. Despite forming in wildly different conditions across the planet, they all fall within a narrow size range. This consistency isn't random. It's determined by physics that governs how water behaves in air, and this uniformity contributes directly to rain's effectiveness as a sleep aid. The smallest raindrops measure about 0.5 millimeter in diameter. Anything smaller is considered drizzle or mist. These tiny drops fall slowly and often evaporate before reaching the ground. The largest raindrops max out around 5 millimeters. Anything bigger breaks apart during the fall. So, despite infinite variation in weather conditions, raindrops exist only within this small window between 0.5 and 5 millimeters. The limit exists because of competing forces. Surface tension holds water molecules together, trying to keep drops spherical. Air resistance pushes against falling drops, trying to flatten and break them. Larger drops fall faster, which means stronger air resistance. Once a drop exceeds about 5 millimeters, air resistance overcomes surface tension. The drop flattens into a pancake shape, becomes unstable, and splits into smaller drops. This creates a natural maximum that never varies. You can't have 6 millimeter raindrops because physics won't allow them. Every raindrop that has ever fallen anywhere on Earth throughout all of history has obeyed this size constraint. The sound rain makes is consistent, partly because the drops themselves are consistent. The optimal size for most rain sits around 2 to 3 millimeters. This is large enough to produce clear impacts when hitting surfaces, but small enough to create dense rainfall patterns. At this size, drops fall at about 20 feet per second, fast enough to generate good sound, but slow enough that thousands can fall in the same space without interfering with each other. The acoustic environment this creates hits the ideal parameters for white noise. Smaller drizzle drops, below 1 millimeter, fall too slowly and quietly to provide effective masking. The sound they create is gentle but incomplete, leaving gaps in the frequency spectrum where other noises can penetrate. Larger drops, approaching the 5 millimeter limit, fall faster and louder but arrive less frequently. The sound becomes more dramatic but less consistent. The 2 to 3 millimeter range provides the best balance for sleep purposes. This explains why moderate steady rain works better than drizzle or downpour for most people. The drop size and density are optimized naturally by physics. You're not hearing random variations of water falling. You're hearing water falling at the size and speed physics has determined to be most stable, which happens to also be most soothing to human perception. The consistency means your brain can trust the pattern. If raindrops varied wildly in size, the sound would be less predictable. Huge drops mixed randomly with tiny drops would create acoustic chaos rather than white noise. But because physics constrains variation, rain maintains its reliable character. Your brain learns that rain sounds a certain way, and that expectation is fulfilled consistently, building trust and enabling relaxation. Even the shape of falling drops contributes to consistent sound. Small drops are nearly spherical. Larger drops flatten slightly at the bottom due to air resistance, creating a hamburger bun shape. But they maintain this shape consistently as they fall. The aerodynamics stay stable. The impact characteristics remain predictable. Everything about rain operates within defined parameters that create the reliable sensory experience your nervous system depends on for rest. Rain reduces everything, not just sound or light, but the total amount of sensory information bombarding you at any moment. This comprehensive reduction of stimulus creates conditions ideal for sleep by lowering the processing demands on your brain. Start with movement. On clear days, the world is full of visible motion. Cars pass, people walk, birds fly, trees sway in wind, flags flutter. Your visual system tracks all of this automatically, even when you're not consciously paying attention. Each moving object requires neural processing. Your brain must determine what's moving, whether it matters, whether it poses any threat. This constant analysis consumes energy and maintains alertness. Rain eliminates most of this movement. People stay inside. Traffic decreases. Birds shelter. The only motion visible through rain-streaked windows is the falling water itself, which creates the hypnotic effect we explored earlier. Your visual processing load drops dramatically. The hundreds of objects your brain normally tracks reduce to just one: rain. Outdoor activity disappears. The sounds of neighbors, delivery trucks, construction work, children playing, all vanish when rain begins. The acoustic landscape simplifies from dozens of distinct sounds to one dominant sound that masks whatever remains. Your auditory system processes less information during rain than during any other waking condition, except perhaps late night in very quiet locations. Color intensity drops across the entire environment. bright sunny conditions create high color saturation that requires significant visual processing. Your brain must distinguish subtle color variations, identify objects partly through their hues, and maintain constant color calibration as lighting changes. Rain mutes all colors toward gray, reducing the amount of color information your visual cortex must process. This simplification allows those brain regions to operate at reduced capacity. Even your sense of smell simplifies. Clear days carry multiple odors from various sources. Car exhaust, food cooking, flowers blooming, cut grass, all compete for your attention. Rain washes many of these scents from the air, while replacing them with the single dominant smell of petrichor. Your olfactory system processes one scent instead of many. Temperature variations decrease during rain. Sunny days create hot spots and cool spots, forcing your body to constantly adjust. Sun on your skin warms you. Shade cools you. Moving between the two requires thermal regulation that maintains alertness. Rain creates uniform temperature across your entire environment. Your body can settle into steady-state thermal regulation instead of constantly adapting. The tactile environment changes too. On dry days, air movement creates varying sensations on exposed skin. Humidity fluctuates. Static electricity builds. Rain stabilizes all of these. Humidity reaches comfortable levels and stays there. Air movement becomes gentle and constant. Your skin receives steady, predictable input rather than varying stimulation. This multisensory reduction creates what researchers call a low-stimulus environment. Your brain evolved to maintain alertness when faced with complex, changing sensory input. Variation signals potential danger or opportunity. When every sense reports simplified, stable conditions, your threat detection systems begin powering down. There's nothing to analyze, nothing to track, nothing requiring vigilance. The result is a state of profound calm that makes sleep almost inevitable. Your brain isn't fighting to stay alert against your wishes. It's naturally settling into rest because every sensory system is reporting that rest is appropriate. Rain creates the conditions your nervous system interprets as safe, simple, and ideal for recovery. All you have to do is accept what your biology is already telling you. Time changes during rain. Minutes stretch longer. Hours blur together. The normal progression of day becomes less defined. This temporal distortion isn't imagination. Rain genuinely alters how your brain perceives and tracks time, creating conditions that reduce anxiety and promote rest. Your brain uses environmental cues to track time passing. The sun's position, shadows moving, temperature changes throughout the day, sounds associated with specific hours. These markers help you maintain temporal awareness without checking clocks. You know roughly what time it is by how the world looks and feels. Rain removes most of these markers. The sun disappears behind clouds. Its position becomes uncertain. Shadows vanish in the flat lighting. Temperature stabilizes instead of rising toward afternoon peaks or falling toward evening lows. The acoustic environment stays constant rather than shifting through the typical daily pattern of morning birds, midday activity, and evening quiet. Without these cues, your internal sense of time becomes unanchored. This temporal disorientation is deeply relaxing. Much of modern anxiety centers on time. Deadlines approach. Schedules demand adherence. Hours feel insufficient for everything requiring completion. You're constantly aware of time slipping away, of how much remains before the next obligation. Rain interrupts this time pressure by making time less measurable. During rain, you stop instinctively knowing what hour it is. Morning could be afternoon, afternoon could be evening. The usual progression becomes unclear. This uncertainty removes the urgency time normally carries. You can't feel behind schedule when you can't accurately judge the schedule's progression. The pressure lifts simply because the reference points disappear. Rain also creates what psychologists call temporal expansion. Activities feel longer during rain than during clear weather. Reading for 30 minutes feels like an hour. A brief nap seems to last much longer than clock time indicates. This expansion happens because your brain uses environmental change to estimate duration. When surroundings remain constant, as they do during steady rain, your brain has fewer markers to use for time calculation. The result is a sensation that time moves more slowly. This slow time feeling is exactly what promotes rest. Sleep requires letting go of time concern. You can't simultaneously worry about time passing and relax into sleep. Rain solves this by making time passage less obvious and less urgent. You're free to rest without the nagging awareness of minutes ticking away. The monotony contributes, too. Each moment during rain resembles the previous moment. Nothing marks the progression from one to the next. This creates a sense of eternal present, where past and future recede and only now exists. Meditation teachers spend years helping students achieve this state. Rain delivers it naturally. For people with time-related anxiety, rain offers rare relief. The constant mental calculation of whether you're on schedule, whether you have enough time, whether you're using time wisely, all of this quiets during rain. The metrics you normally use to judge time management become unavailable. You're forced to exist in unmeasured time, and this forced release is often exactly what anxiety-prone minds need. Rain makes hours feel like something you have, rather than something you're losing. The difference is profound. When time feels abundant, rest becomes easy. When rain removes your ability to measure time's passage, it removes your ability to feel rushed. And without that rushed feeling, sleep comes naturally. Rain has been falling since Earth formed oceans. 4 billion years of drops hitting surfaces, creating the same sound, carrying the same message. Long before humans existed, rain was already doing what it does tonight. And long after we're gone, it will continue falling, offering the same gift to whatever comes next. The gift is simple. Rain tells you it's okay to stop. In a world that demands constant motion, constant productivity, constant engagement, rain arrives and says no. Not tonight. Tonight you rest. This isn't a request or a suggestion. It's a fact delivered through every sense your body possesses. The sound, the smell, the cooling air, the dimming light, the reduced pressure, all of it confirms the same truth. Conditions favor rest. You don't have to earn this rest. You don't have to justify it, or defend it, or feel guilty about accepting it. Rain offers it freely to everyone equally. It falls on your roof the same way it falls on every other roof. It carries the same message to every person hearing it. You are allowed to rest. You are safe to sleep. The world will continue without your vigilance for these hours. This gift has sustained humanity through our entire existence. Your ancestors heard rain and knew they could rest. You hear rain and know the same thing. Your descendants will hear rain and receive the same permission. The continuity stretches backward and forward, connecting all humans through this simple experience of water falling from sky to earth. Tonight, as rain sounds around you, you're participating in something ancient and universal. The drops hitting your window are temporary, but rain itself is permanent. This storm will end, but others will come. Rain is patient. It returns again and again, offering the same gift each time, never requiring anything in return except that you accept what it freely gives. Let the sound fill your awareness. Let the cool air settle around you. Let your body respond the way it was built to respond over hundreds of thousands of years. Rain is here. You can rest now. Everything your biology knows about safety and sleep is confirming this moment. Trust what your body is telling you. The world outside will be there tomorrow. The concerns you carry will wait. Rain has paused time, simplified your environment, removed the pressure to do anything except exist peacefully in this moment. This is rain's gift. This is what it has always offered. And you, lying here in the dark, listening to water fall, are exactly where you're meant to be. If you found peace in this journey through rain's mysteries, we'd be grateful if you'd like and subscribe to Simple Sleepy Science. We create these quiet explorations of science every night, helping people discover the wonder in everyday phenomena while finding their way to rest. We have more peaceful stories waiting for you, more fascinating facts delivered in ways that calm rather than stimulate. Join us tomorrow night for another journey into the beautiful science that surrounds you. Until then, let the rain continue its ancient work. Let it wash away the day. Let it carry you gently into sleep. The drops are falling. The world is quiet, and you finally can rest. Sleep well.